everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Fabulous Nick Knarf. He's the Fabulous Nick, and I'm the semi-fabulous Knarf. And we're having a great day today. Hope you're having a great one.
Yeah.
Glad you can join us for another episode of our show. We got some great stuff for you today. We've got a group known for some monster songs, but we're not playing any of those. We're playing these other great songs that I really, really love, and I think Nick likes them a lot too. But it's Procol Harum, a great, great English band formed in England in 1967. Their first monster hit was A Whiter Shade of Pale on their debut album in 1967, which is one of a few records as a single that sold over 10 million copies.
10 million.
Can you believe it? Anyway, they have a tremendous career of music, selling tens and tens of millions of singles and albums. The lineup was anchored by the heart and soul and the voice of Procol Harum, Gary Brooker. Previous members of the band included Robin Trower, who was there for the first 3 years of the band, and then he went off to a great solo album, and his great solo album, Bridge of Sighs, if you ever checked that out, be sure to check that out. But Procol Harum had a string of amazing albums. I got to admit, at first, early on, I never was a big Procol Harum fan. I always thought they sounded kind of dark and gothic, and kind of sinister, some of their music. I even told my wife, they always sounded sinister. But then in the early 70s, I started really growing to love Procol Harum's music with A Salty Dog, the great album A Salty Dog, and then these other later albums. Now, these two songs we're going to be playing for you are coming off their albums, their sixth and seventh studio albums, respectively. Grand Hotel, Over Nick's Shoulder, that was released in 1973, and Exotic Birds and Fruit is the album that followed the following year. And for me, these two albums are on my top 100 albums list of all time. I love these two Procol Harum albums. I mean, I love A Salty Dog and Shine On Brightly and some of the other early stuff. But for me, this is iconic, fulfilled, rich, great Procol Harum.
And if you guys ever wanted to take a look on some of their videos that they made, even in like the 2014 range, Gary Brooker still sings great.
What a voice! And what a talent on the piano. I mean, his classical kind of training. It seems like he was trained classically. It really comes through. He has a really rich orchestral sound. They play with these symphony orchestras. They do Conquistador and the theme song from Grand Hotel, which is played with an orchestra. And they've even done some of the other songs, with orchestra music, and they're just phenomenal. But anyway, I think you're really going to enjoy these. Nick doesn't know as much about Procol Harum as I do, and I'm not that familiar with them. But the band lineup for these two albums was Gary Brooker, Mick Graham, Chris Copping, Alan Cartwright, and B.J. Wilson. Great albums and a great song. The first song we're going to play for you off of Exotic Birds and Fruit is one of my favorite songs. This song is on my top 100 songs of my personal favorite 100 songs over 4 minutes. Under 4 minutes, excuse me. It's called Nothing But the Truth. And anyway, before we get into it, I want to remind you, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. If you have subscribed, we really thank you and appreciate your support. We care for your ears. And let's get into it. Ready, Nikki?
Let's do it.
Okay, this one is Nothing But the Truth, Procol Harum from Exotic Birds and Fruit. Hey?
Great song. Love the intro.
There it is.
Is it on, Tommy?
Is it on, Tommy?
It seems as clear as yesterday. We saw it in a dream. The dream became insanity. An awful gaping scream. So sad to see such emptiness. So sad to see such tears. And heaped up leaves of bitterness turn moldy down. It seems as clear as yesterday. They cast us in the deep. We lie in darkest night for good. A never-ending sleep. A never-ending bitter gloom, whose darkness seldom clears. A God-forsaken emptiness, which fills our hearts with tears. Nothing but the truth. Common words in use. Hearts so hard to find excuse. Harder than the truth.
Orchestra builds up there. Yeah, nothing but the truth. Procol Harum. Nikki, what'd you think of that one?
It's funny. I read that they were kind of like a precursor to the prog movement. But, it's funny. One of the bands that I kept hearing in my head over and over was the Moody Blues. I never really I don't know if it's their beat, it's their sound, it's the way that they use the orchestration in with the regular guitar and the piano. But really enjoyed it. I love his voice. His
voice is so iconic. Good. I mean, he really gives such richness and depth, and their songs are complex. I mean, their songs aren't really simple, basic rock and roll, and they all have kind of a dark edge to it. There's a lot of dark edginess to a lot of the lyrics that they write in their song. They aren't a song that you would equate. I mean, they aren't a band who you would say writes happy, upbeat songs. They're always substantial, rich, complex, a lot of them with layered orchestration in a number of, especially the later songs. They really, we know the Conquistador was played with an orchestra behind it. So he always had an appreciation for the classical element influencing the sound of their music. But you can hear the shifts in that song. So many neat shifts, and then the stops of the piano, and then the organ playing in the background. I think it's him playing both. Although I think they have two. I think they do have another keyboardist.
But he's so good.
But God, what a great voice! What a great iconic voice. Anyway, what'd you think of Nothing But the Truth? I hope you liked it. It's a great song. This album is awesome. Another great song on this album is Butterfly Boys, which was one of their big hits too. I think these two albums are just really fabulous, and I really encourage you to check them both out. But we're going to get ready to change the CD so I can play our second selection, which is off of the sixth studio album, Grand Hotel, which came out in 1973. The song I've picked to play for you is, well, I'll tell you after the break, so we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for your patience while we change the CD. I hope you're enjoying our presentation of Procol Harum today. This next song is one of my favorites. It is just a great rocker off of another amazing album by Procol Harum. Like I said, came out in 1973. The title of the song is Bringing Home the Bacon. It is a great song. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Love the intro.
Procol Harum and Bringing Home the Bacon.
Slide
decent price.
Interesting timing on that, isn't it?
Every baby dumpling, loaded, bloated curse. My baby dumpling, stuffing till it bursts.
So much to say about that song. I mean, the timing of each instrument is so interesting, the way it's fused together and makes a total complete sound. It really is quite weird.
Procol Harum's music is utterly unique. I mean, I can't think of anybody who sounds anything like Procol Harum. I mean, there may be little riffs in between in some songs. You know, I was thinking a little bit, sounds a little like early Jethro Tull, some of the guitar work, and some of the pacing.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about with the flute part, but you know how some of the structured rhythm and blues songs that he kind of did variations of? There's a little bit of that, but the arrangements of these songs are so remarkably unusual. You know, that ba 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 ba, and then it goes up another half step, ba ba. I mean, it's just so interesting musically and rich. And he's right. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, it seems dark, heavy. Even the rock and roll that's energetic and powerful has a dark, gritty underpinning to everything, you know? And there's always, a lot of the lyrics of the songs are kind of snarky, you know? Kind of satirical in the way kind of Pink Floyd's lyrics are, you know?
Yeah.
If you hear a lot of Pink Floyd early stuff, criticizing human behavior and looking at the darker sides of life, underpinnings, some of Procol Harum's music feels that way. But man, what a legacy of incredible stuff that never really was really appreciated in a huge way when they were in their peak. You know, I mean, they were a big band. In a lot of ways, I don't know, there's something like in the ballpark of like the Kinks, you know, being not as appreciated as maybe they should have been. The Kinks are probably a lot more popular than Procol Harum, obviously, because Procol Harum does lean to the edgier, progressive side, complex, rich side of pseudo-classical rock and prog, but God, they got some engaging songs with some incredibly memorable lines, and obviously, like we said, Whiter Shade of Pale, one of the biggest selling singles of all time. So these guys were formidable. They have a tremendous legacy and just amazing. The song Whiter Shade of Pale, we were reading as we were doing some research, I guess got them inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018. So we're kind of late coming to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, despite the fact that they have a history of like almost 50 years of playing
music. But that
music.
iconic voice, isn't it so good? I mean, it's got a power, a rawness, and yet maintains notes. He's so good at maintaining a solid note and holding it to where he comes in with that piano or keyboard, and it just embellishes the note really nicely.
Yeah, he's not like an incredible singer in terms of what his vocal acrobatics are like.
Yeah.
But his sound of his voice is so iconic, so solid and certain in the way he presents himself, and it complements the music so incredibly well.
Yeah. And you know, when you hear his voice, you know it's Procol Harum. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like one guy. It's kind of like Ian Anderson. It's kind of like, you know, Creedence Clearwater. When the guy starts singing, you go, Procol Harum.
Yep.
You know, you just know it.
Unmistakable. So, what did you think? What'd you guys think? Leave us a comment for Procol Harum today. I know it's a band a lot of people aren't familiar with. A lot of people don't hold in the highest of regard, even though they got a huge following and they've been around for so long.
Now, personally, I like that second song better. So tell me what song you liked better.
I love them both, but Bringing Home the Bacon might be a better song in terms of its drive and power, but I like the changes in Nothing But the Truth and Awful. They're both great.
Don't forget the stakes.
Listen to don't forget those stakes, and be sure to listen to these albums. You won't regret it. They're fantastic. Top to bottom, especially if you love prog or darker kind of edgier rock that's classically composed. But anyway, be sure to subscribe, like, and share again. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time on another episode of Nick and Knarf.
Signing off.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us.